An Arctic hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whether or Not. This week we're bringing you stories about the early February standard of, football and cold weather. Stay with us as we analyze the effects of this spell of frigid air and gaze into the misty distant future with a forecast from our own Jillian Bohenek. Whether or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome to Whether or Not. I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Jillian Bohenek.
Well, Jillian, to paint a nice picture of State College amidst the dreary, frigid weather we've been having, we are coming out of the period of time where we are climatologically the coldest out of any point in time in the year.
We are. It has been frigid the last couple of days, but luckily this weekend things will start to look up as temperatures will either reach, if not surpass, the freezing mark, which is warmer than it has been.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as we leave, that's when the warm weather comes. Some of the Penn State meteorology students are going to be going down to Atlanta, Georgia this coming Thursday to next Friday in an effort to go to the American Meteorological Society's annual conference. Though hopefully conditions improve in Atlanta, they had one heck of a winter storm last week, dumping 2 inches of snowfall, which for a New Englander or a Northerner in general is not a lot, but that is most of Georgia's, or Atlanta rather's, snowfall in a year compressed into one day.
Yes, I really hope things start to clear up for the crew going down to Atlanta, but this has been one of the coldest winters on record.
It has been, and things have shifted off. Our old man winter shifted his focus off of the usual suspects of, Alaska. It's been a bit warmer there than it has been usually for any sort of winter season, and it's been much, much colder for most of the nation. And since we have stories on both of those, let's turn now to nature in the news. Throughout the extreme cold snaps that State College has experienced this winter, many comparisons have been drawn between our weather and Alaska. As an example, we were colder than Barrow, Alaska, the coldest city in the United States, on a few occasions. One meteorological comparison that we can't thankfully make is avalanches. Last Friday, January 24th, a large avalanche near the Chugach National Forest isolated the town of Valdez, Alaska by blocking a 50-mile stretch of the only road that leads into it. Although still accessible from sea and air-based transportation at the time, the town became unreachable by car. In addition to making ground travel impossible, the avalanche has also caused a major flood and ice dam with a low river in the Keystone Canyon about 12 miles east of Valdez. Avalanches are a common yearly occurrence in Valdez, and locals reported that life is occurring as usual. Officials mentioned, however, that the avalanche may take weeks to clear, and the work can only begin after they have ensured that the slopes surrounding the original avalanche are secure.
We often group extreme weather such as tornadoes, hurricanes, and snowstorms under the title of natural disasters. Defined by the Oxford Dictionary as a natural event such as a flood, earthquake, or hurricane that causes great damage or loss of life, it becomes clear that a natural disaster is the human response to a natural occurrence. This past week in Atlanta, Georgia, a relatively weak winter storm resulted in catastrophe for the city of nearly 500,000. Motorists were trapped in pileups, accidents, and resulting gridlock that did not resolve for over 24 hours. Unprepared for the snow and ice, highways and thoroughfares became littered with accidents, injuries, and even one childbirth. In light of the disaster, volunteers and organizations quickly staffed storm shelters along major routes of travel. This map, courtesy of meteorology student Devin Boyer, displays Home Depot warehouse stores that open their doors to motorists who did not wish to be trapped outside in the cold. Schools also offered shelter to students who were not able to leave for home in the midst of the disastrous travel conditions. Warnings for this particular storm had been posted by the National Weather Service as early as 4 a.m. on Monday morning, allowing more than enough time for proper preparations.
This Sunday, February 2nd, in the cold confines of MetLife Stadium, the Denver Broncos and Seattle Seahawks will face off in Super Bowl 48. Marking the first time that the Super Bowl will be held in an outdoor arena in a cold region, Sunday may go down as the coldest Super Bowl since the game's initiation. However, it's not the cold that has game and venue planners worried. Concerned about the possibility of dangerous wintry precipitation that would make the game unplayable, the National Football League has brought on senior weatherbug meteorologist John Bateman to take the reins as official Super Bowl forecaster. Mr. Bateman is tasked with creating and maintaining a detailed forecast for MetLife Stadium located in East Rutherford, New Jersey, that includes the time, duration, intensity, and accumulation of any precipitation. The information that Mr. Bateman provides will go into operational plans for the thousands of staff, fans, and tailgaters that will be present at the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. In regards to a weather-related delay or rescheduling of the highly anticipated football game, National Football Association official stated that it would take a combination of the polar vortex, snowmageddon, and Sharknado to change the game's 6:30 p.m. kickoff.
Well, thank you, Tom. We do have a bit of an interesting weekend ahead of us. We do have some snow that's going to be lingering with us throughout the day on Friday, and that's going to head into Saturday. But despite that snow, we are going to have some warmer temperatures. Now, you can't get ready to kiss those coats goodbye just yet, as temperatures will be in about the 30s and may even hit 40, but they are going to be a lot warmer than what we've been seeing. Now, Saturday, that snow is going to linger throughout the morning until about noon on Saturday, but then by the time those temperatures start to rise by around midday Saturday, that snow is going to turn into rain, and that is actually going to linger in through Sunday as that cold front moves through, but by midday Sunday, that rain is actually going to start to disappear and move off to our east. And now we're going to head into the weekend forecast. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have that snow on Friday. High temperature is going to be around 37 degrees, which is still warmer than it has been the last couple of days. And again, it is going to last throughout the night with a low of 24. But then by Saturday, that snow will start to dwindle as the day progresses. And by midday on Saturday, temperatures are going to hit upper 30s and then finally about 41 as that snow turns into rain. That rain is going to last throughout Saturday evening as that cold front moves through into Sunday, but again by midday Sunday, that rain should disappear.
Americans are looking forward to Sunday's Super Bowl game, but before the action at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, many people will be focusing on the actions of one small rodent in western Pennsylvania. In addition to being Super Bowl Sunday, this Sunday is also Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is the one day each year where years of scientific research and development are put aside and meteorologists across the country are replaced by a small rodent. Punxsutawney Phil, the only true weather forecasting groundhog, will make his annual forecast Sunday morning for the 128th time at Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. The first prediction was made back in 1887. Legend has it that if Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow, we will have 6 more weeks of winter. If he does not see his shadow, then there will be an early spring. This legend came to Pennsylvania with early German settlers whose legend of Candlemas Day proclaimed, "For as the sun shines on Candlemas Day, so far will the snow swirl in May." After deciding that groundhogs were plentiful and intelligent, the German settlers chose the animal to carry on the legend of Candlemas Day. In the midst of this bleak winter, could the little groundhog be our hope that spring will soon be here? Day after day, the cold weather has been headlining newspapers and evening newscasts. Students have spent weeks bundling up as they head out to classes, making spring seem like a distant dream. After bottoming out at 34 degrees, average high temperatures have begun their slow climb back up. But temperatures have been trending below the 30-year normal for the past 3 months. Back on January 7th, the Co-op Observing Station at Walker Building recorded its first daily record low since May 21st, 2002.
Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, the prognosticator of all prognosticators, was summoned from his burrow in the old oak stump by the tap of President Bill Dealey. He greeted his handlers, John Griffiths and Ron Plowcha, and after casting an appreciative glance to the thousands of faithful followers in attendance, Phil proclaimed, as I look at the crowd on Gobbler's Knob, many shadows do I see. 6 more weeks of winter it must be.
Although Groundhog Day makes for a bit of midwinter fun, the National Climatic Data Center compared Punxsutawney Phil's predictions to the national departure from average temperatures. Finding few correlations, the National Climatic Data Center concluded no predictive skill for the groundhog. Instead of asking a groundhog to come out of his burrow to give us a forecast, why don't we be a bit more scientific and ask a few meteorology students to come out of their burrow in the Weather Center and tell us what they think is in store?
Well, as someone that went to see Punxsutawney Phil last year, I feel like I've in with him. I think he's calling 6 more weeks of winter.
6 more weeks of winter. That's what I gotta say.
The trend continues, 6 more weeks of winter.
Okay, I think we're gonna have 6 more weeks of winter.
So the meteorology students seem convinced winter's wrath will continue, but we'll have to wait and see what Mr. Punxsutawney predicts on Sunday morning, when a groundhog replaces meteorologists. For Weather or Not, I'm Christy Reuelle.
And now with the extended forecast, we'll take a quick recap over what's going to happen over the next couple of days. We are going to see temperatures start to look up this weekend as we do have that southwesterly flow that is going to start to pick up on Friday, bringing those temperatures up to above the freezing mark. We are going to see some rain and snow this weekend as well. With Saturday, we will start to see some snow earlier on in the day, but by the time those temperatures start to pick up around noontime, we will start to see that snow turn into rain. And again, on Sunday, we do have that front moving through, which is going to start dropping the temperatures, which is going to be not the best story for next week. We can't quite kiss those coats goodbye next week, as temperatures will still be in the 30s. Now, we do have that system that is going to move in on Wednesday, but by Thursday into Friday, that will have moved out of the area. But unfortunately, Friday, those temperatures are going to start to go down once again.
Well, Jillian, how does travel look for those going to the AMS conference?
Well, luckily, by the time Friday rolls around, things will have started to clear up, so travel to Atlanta won't be the problem, but next week, unfortunately, might be an issue. If that storm on Wednesday decides to linger for a while, travel on the way back might not be such a fun experience.
Okay, and hopefully to avoid the same situation that's happening in Atlanta this past week, or happened in Atlanta this past week, let's turn now to the Weather Whiz Quiz. This week's Weather Whiz Quiz was, which of the following is an inappropriate measure for warming frostbitten hands or feet? A, soak them in warm water. B, place them directly next to a fire. C, apply a cool, sterile dressing. Or D, call a doctor or proceed to the emergency room. The answer is B. You should not place any affected hands or feet, any extremities, near a fire if they've been injured by extremely frigid air. Now, the reason for that is that it could cause additional injury to that extremity that's been affected by the extreme cold.
That's right. And just on that note, as a few tips just to remember in case you're traveling and you get stuck in your vehicle during this wintry weather, make sure to keep some warm items on hand such as blankets, extra scarves, gloves, and as well as some non-perishable food items just in case.
Well, that's good. And on that note, I'm going to go cuddle up next to a fire until spring comes in State College and it gets just a teensy bit warmer outside. So from us here at Weather or Not, I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Jillian Bohenek.
We hope you have a great day.